What happened to this car, and consequently, is it now worth less? Well, I'm going to tell you what happened, and you can decide if it's now worth less. And then I'm going to give you my opinion as having dealt with this exact issue for the last 45 years as a classic car collector and the last 25 as a classic car dealer. My name's Michael, and this is Quality Classics. So what's wrong with this beauty? I mean, at a cursory glance, nothing. Just look at it. It's gorgeous. You know, even after a deeper dive, there's just nothing that hits the eye as wrong or almost less than perfect. The car is amazing. However, it's not until you stop and you decode the door trim tag that you realize what's wrong. So what's the door trim tag? Here it is right here. Well, think of it as the car's birth certificate, and it tells you a lot. It tells you where the car was built. It tells you what date the car was built on, and it tells you some fundamentally very important things, like what engine it had, what transmission it had, what rear end it had. It also tells you about the interior, what style interior and what color interior, and it tells you the color that the car came from the factory. Trim tags are very important. Now, it's important that the trim tag be original because that's the only way you're going to know the original true DNA of the car. In the case of this car, trim tag is original. What does it tell us? So it's after we examine the birth certificate or the trim tag that we find out what's wrong with the car. The car is Candyapple Red, as you can see, but it was born Silver Frost. And that's not all. It was also born a 4-speed, but it's now an automatic. Why were those changes made? And more importantly, how does it impact value? We're going to go on a test drive, and I'm going to answer both of those questions. Okay, here we go. That is impressive. Okay, we'll be out of the neighborhood in a minute, and you're going to want to hear this thing rip. This car has a fantastic exhaust note, and man, does it pull. The reason so many of us love this exact car. All right, now back to the two questions. Why would somebody make the changes that they made to this car, and what's the impact to value? Well, the answer to the first one is really quite easy. It's just a matter of personal preference. I see it all the time. The owner wanted the car to be an automatic, and it was a gift for his wife, in fact, and she preferred automatic, and they both preferred Candyapple Red. I get that completely. It's a stunning color. So when they had it restored, they just restored it to how the car could have been in 1966, but to their personal preference. All right, impact on value. Much more complicated question, but there is an answer. So impact to value. Impact to value is negative to the individual who just prefers the car to be exactly as born, correct to the birth certificate. And I have to tell you that the buyers that are affected by originality more than anything else, that's their number one buying attribute, that's a smaller group than it used to be. In fact, it gets smaller all the time. But that particular buyer who prefers originality above any other value attribute, that particular buyer is going to be put off a little bit by those changes. He might not even be a buyer for this car for that very reason. So yeah, there's an impact to value for that segment of the would-be buying population. However, there's an entirely different segment of would-be buyers that are more quality focused. Yeah, they might want it to be within the period and an option that was offered at the factory for that particular car in that particular year, like this one. But they're more concerned or more focused on quality, and this car is all about the quality. So, and I have to tell you, a lot of people were interested in this car. The car's already sold, and the buyer that bought it, he was more interested in the quality, and all the other would-be buyers were very much aware that it had some changes, but they were quality focused. So The answer is a little more convoluted when it comes to value impact from changes made from the original DNA. It does affect the value with some of the would-be buyers. In this case, I think it's a smaller group. It doesn't affect the other buyers if you have other value attributes, in this case, extreme quality, that trump the changes. So that's the answer to that. Okay, there's another value attribute right there, the fun factor. And boy, is this car fun. This guy's gonna love this car. Woo! Well, that was a lot of fun. I really would like to hear your comments about what you think concerning the value, how it was impacted with the changes that were made on this car. Also, I know that determining value is a very difficult thing, and so I made a video about value attributes that applies to all classic cars, and you can watch that here. And if you're interested in buying a classic car, selling a classic car, or if you need classic car consulting, check us out at qualityclassics.com.